Hello everyone, I am Folashade Anozie and this is Dotted Bridges, a podcast exploring our evolving perspectives about life, culture and everything else in between. On this show, we'll be digging deep to understand how our stories and experiences create bridges that connect us and help make a positive difference. Joining me for my first episode is Dapo Daniels, an information technology project consultant based in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. He's also a friend. Not too long ago, he went through a divorce and I wanted to speak with him about the experience and lessons learned. I hope you find the conversation insightful like I did. Hi, Dapo.
Hi, Shade.
How are you? How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm good.
Yeah, okay. So I want to, start off by saying that I feel like this has been a long time coming.
True. True.
I reached out to you in 2020. This was during the pandemic, and I said that I'm looking to start a podcast on society and culture. And would you like to? To be fair, I wasn't reaching out to you out of joy. Can I just give that context? I wasn't reaching out to you say, oh my gosh, this is exciting. So I reached out to you to ask, would you be interested in sharing your experience as someone who's gone through divorce? And at the time, you were not really ready. So you said you're going to think about it, right?
Yeah. At that point in time, everything was still a bit fresh, and mentally I wasn't in the best possible place at that point in time, and but I'm in a much better place now.
Yeah, because I was shocked when you called me last week to say, Shade, I'm ready to talk. Are you available this week? And I was like, I'm not available, but I'll make it happen. Yeah. So can you tell me what changed between 2020 and when you called me?
First of all, I think, I don't want to sound very cliche, but they say it all the time, time heals. And, with time, sometimes you can't really force the process. You have to go through the process, right? And the more you go through, the better you become, you heal. You actually need time to heal. That's the first thing. And I was at a conference, and a few of us, over the last 6-7 years, over about 8 of us on the table, many of us have been married. It was a conference in Abuja, and I realized only one person was still married out of the 8 of us. And
wow.
So it got me, and then we got into talking, we were all talking, everybody was saying, they were saying things that, I think the meaning of marriage has changed over the years, I think, and there are just so many things to talk about, and I feel, maybe my story can reach someone. Maybe there's someone who's going through a lot right now and can actually hear what I have to say, and maybe it can help them.
When you say marriage has changed, do you feel like for the better what it was?
It depends on how you look at it. Okay, don't let me say marriage has changed. I think society has changed, not marriage exactly, because the problems now, I feel, were the problems then. It's just we're in a time where if it's not working for you, you can actually leave. It's not like our parents and our grandparents didn't have that choice, but it was a lot harder back then. But I feel now you can actually just decide, because divorce is a lot more acceptable than it was back then, actually. So yeah, I feel, it's times have changed, and but the real issue is, I feel the way times have changed, that's the same way people are going into marriage for the wrong reasons, I guess, this day and age as well. So yeah, it's a tete-a-tete thing.
Okay, that totally makes sense, and I agree. Because one of my questions for you was going to be about people that are young, that are older, our grandparents and even our parents are saying that it seems like the concept of marriage is now down the toilets. And back in their days, marriages were lasting. And the pushback from our generation and those who are younger is like, it's not because you were in happy marriages.
You know what? It's like our parents were not as happy as they're making it seem. Okay, let's be real. But it's just, you just have to go through it. Because I know at least 4 people's moms, and they've said, okay, I'm just waiting for my kids to move out. Then that's the end of this marriage, So you had to, it was like a stigma if you leave your marriage back then. But this generation, with the internet, DSTV, nobody, if it's not working for you, I'm out. I'll get what works for me. So I think that's just the difference, really. But my parents are fooling us. It wasn't that rosy.
Yeah. At the same time, do you feel that our generation and those who are younger are so quick to say I'm out. They're not willing to, like, we have based marriage on, I'm not being married, so I'm asking you as someone who was married. Do you think that we'll have based it on superficiality?
I would say partly yes. In my case, I could have left my marriage after 1 month, but I didn't want, and which was like this concept I had in my head of what it should be. I didn't want to be divorced. And it all boils down to, I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I have those old school, I was brought up in that old school way. And I really didn't want to be divorced. So that's why I was like, you know what, whatever happens, I'm going to have to, this is going to work. This is going to work. It doesn't, you have to make it work. Like, if it's not working for you, I feel you, for your own sanity, because it's not really helping anyone if it's not working. It's not helping you. It's not helping your partner. If there are kids involved, it's not really helping anybody. So I feel if it has gotten to that make or break point, you should leave. That's my opinion anyway. And yeah, but really, because that option is there, no, people don't try as hard anymore. That's just the honest truth.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And to your point about being traditional, were you concerned about speaking out about what people would say or what your family or people would say? Because you and I know that in Nigeria, when it comes to judgment, we don't carry on for head. When it comes to keeping up appearances, people are carried on their head. So when you reached out to me and said, I'm ready, were you concerned about that?
You know what? This particular podcast is going to really be shocking because I've never really spoken about my divorce. Never ever have I really spoken about, not even to my family. Again, because of the stigma, of course I think about it how am I do this? What are people going to say? Because, we're raised in a society where men are not meant to talk. It's the women who talk. Like, as a man, you're meant to be quiet. You're meant to suck it up and just, But then, men hurt. It's okay. And it's again, like I said, it takes time to get to this. It took me a while to get to this point where, it's okay that you were hurt. It's okay that you were sad. It's okay that you got your heart broken, But the mistakes you made, the things you learned, the best thing you can do is leave this legacy for people who are trying to go into marriage or people who are in an abusive marriage and, and you don't know what to do. But maybe if I can reach one person that, okay, I heard your podcast, it really helped me. I think my job is done, actually.
Okay. Now, I want to know what attracted you to your ex-wife?
Oh, what attracted me to my ex-wife? Okay, funny story, right? I actually met her on Tinder, right? It was never really a relationship Okay, in the spirit of honesty, there was someone I liked. I was seeing someone, but she went to the UK for film school or something like that, and so that was when this mutual friend of ours, we were playing around, went on Tinder, and that was when I met my ex-wife. And in my defense, I told her then that, there was someone, and so it was never anything serious. I always made it clear that, there's someone I like. I'm not dating the person, but there's, and I met her, that was November 2016. Yeah, November 2016. But by December, this someone was coming back to town. So I had to end it, and I was like, okay. That was when she told me she was pregnant. And immediately she told me she was pregnant. I already knew I was going, again, I was a bit of a traditionalist. I was never, you know me well, I'm not pro baby mama. That's just me. Not that I don't have anything against those that have baby mamas, but I was never that person. So immediately she told me she was pregnant, I knew I was going to marry this person because I grew up with a single mom and I didn't want that to continue. I didn't want my child to grow up in a home where the two parents were. That was my motive for going into that marriage. And it's another lesson I've learned, I guess we'll talk about that later, but that was what.
No, what was the lesson?
You can't really marry someone for that reason. It's not a good enough reason to marry someone, I get it. It's fine. You might want to. Again, my mindset was very different back then. Maybe everything I've been through since then, it's helped me understand that you can't really take a life decision like that because someone is pregnant for you. And I won't say I feel some type of way. I won't say that, but it really was it's one of the main lessons I learned from all this that, it's very cliche. People say, love is not enough. Love is important. It's very important. It might not be enough, but it's very important. So yeah, Actually, that was just it. It was never like a long-term relationship. It was just something that happened, and a pregnancy came out of it.
What about the person that you really like? See how I started? What about the person you really liked? What happened to that person?
Niggas is funny. They actually knew each other. I didn't know that at the time. That was what happened. And, so when I told her I couldn't be with her anymore, this person is coming back, and I told her who the person was. Like, oh wow, they knew each other. They actually knew each other from way back, and it was bad. And I had to apologize to her later on because she kept calling me when she came back, and I couldn't pick up because I didn't know what to say. She kept trying to reach me. I couldn't, we spoke about it later, and much later I apologized and everything because I just never spoke. She kept calling me until she saw my engagement.
Oh my God.
She saw my engagement in February, and then the call stopped.
Can I just say that the person that you liked, I was just as shocked as she was.
No, you told.
I was like, wait, what? That was okay, all right.
Yeah, because I think we saw a few weeks before that. We saw a few weeks, we all hung out. I was like, I didn't even tell you I was good. I'm sure you also just saw.
I'm telling you, I'm just like.
Because I was telling my sister about this other girl, right? I was telling her, wow, this girl, I like her, this girl, but she's fine. She doesn't like, but I really like her. And everything. And 3 weeks later, I was, oh yeah, someone is having my baby, I'm getting married. And she was like, sorry, wait, what? That was her. So yeah, that's how it was for a lot of people. But it was something I just felt I had to do the right thing as a man. I don't regret it. It's not going to happen to me again. I felt
do we know that?
Oh, it's not going to happen. But
So, I'm trying to figure out a way. No. I'm trying to figure out a way how to ask this. What do you take responsibility for in you liked someone, the person was out of the country. Why couldn't you wait for that person to return? And then 2, do you take responsibility for, because you can say, okay, maybe the person traveled out of the country and I was going to have an affair or go and date someone else, but I was going to use protection. How do you rationalize that in your mind?
Honestly, I want to take responsibility. First of all, I'm taking responsibility for it. I don't know why. I think I was just at that phase where I was just, I was an asshole maybe. I think I was an asshole. It was a dick move. I was childish. I was enjoying myself, and 2 people ended up getting hurt for that. And so I really had a long talk with her. I think sometime last year, and then she kept calling me because she was bringing her equipment. I was meant to help her get it when she came back, and and it wasn't because I just didn't know what to say to her, because we were, like I said, we were not dating, but we were talking a lot. We were in that talking field, we were talking a lot. It was cool, and I just zoned out. And then there's this other girl whom I've said I don't want to be with you, and she's pregnant. So I was in I didn't handle things well, and I've been apologetic to both women about that. That's one of the worst things I've done, to be honest.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're taking responsibility, because it's, it's one thing for people to say, oh, something went wrong and not know how they played a role in that. And to your point about someone calling and you ignore that, I literally had that experience earlier this year. And let me just tell you, it's the worst.
I know.
It is so hurtful. It's so hurtful. But thank you for sharing that. So you got married to your ex-wife, and
yes.
You all had a child. At what point did the marriage start to... Because I want to find out, even before I get to the breakdown.
Yeah.
You got married. Weren't things going okay? Even if, again, you people were not in love per se, were things not going okay? A regular couple, just decent?
Okay. The reason why I broke up with her wasn't just because the other lady was coming. I had noticed certain character traits and all that I knew, okay, no matter what, this is not going to work. But again, this is another lesson I learned from that marriage. I was kind of the mentality that, you know what, when we get married, when she has kids, things are going to change. But then it's everything I was getting before we got married was the preview. Because when we got married, everything became extra, and she said something once, one of the last few times we spoke. She was like, everything you're complaining about, I was doing them before we got married. Why is it a problem for you now? I didn't pretend. I was myself. So why are you complaining now? And she was, you know what? She was 100% right. The mistake I made was I didn't address those issues. You have to have certain discussions if you're planning to spend the rest of your life with someone. You can't just assume, okay. It's like you have to discuss these things. You have to, okay, are these things going to stop when we get married? Is this something? And that's another thing. You don't really want to be married to someone who is changing their lifestyle for you. Then they are not themselves. They might pretend for a while, but it's going to catch up, and so...
Or they may even end up resenting you.
Resenting you, exactly. They end up resenting you for it. So you don't even want to... If someone is going to change, it has to be of their own accord. If you change for someone, it just leads to a lot of resentment. So that's another thing I felt, okay, I should have had this discussion, because I was hurt when she said it, because I was like, wow, you know what, she's actually right. I just assumed these things would change, but it just never did. And it led to there was a lot of anger. It was a very toxic environment. And those are some of the things that caused it, really.
Did you have any happy times before? Because I keep on saying, I've never been married, right?
She has a lot of, she has a lot of good in her as well. I'm not going to come out here and say, oh, it was all bad. She's a good person. She has a good person. It's like we were on the same road to different destinations. And that is always a problem. Those are things you need to... But again, I won't put too much blame on either of us. There was a child involved. That was why we did it. But we both knew this journey was rocky, which is why I decided we should go our separate ways. But if there is a child involved, you have to try. That was my mentality. Like, you know what? You have to try to make it work. Which is why I tried for 2 years. But, everything just ended up bad. And it didn't go well for anybody.
So at what point did you now say, this clearly isn't working? Because I feel like, you can be going through a situation and you just keep on saying, we're going to keep on trying. Yeah. But at what point did either one of you say, okay, this is where as they say, rubber meets the road. We cannot move forward again. We need to go our separate ways.
Okay, another thing is, it sounds very petty. It sounds very little, but you need to... That's another thing I tell one or two people I talk to now. You need to discuss your phones. I've never used a password on my phone. She had a password on her phone. And it honestly didn't bother me. But the day I actually saw her phone and I looked, I was hurt. And...
What made you want to check her phone?
There were things happening. There were a lot of things happening. I had a lot of suspicions about a lot of things. And with suspicion, it comes doubt. There's no trust. There's no, I don't really want to give too many details.
Of course, because you want to protect the privacy of both of course.
Exactly, but the day I saw that phone, that was the day I left. And I told her, I will never speak to you again. And that was the last time we spoke, actually. And I was very hurt by that. And I filed for divorce the next day. Wow. Yeah.
How did she respond to that? You saying, first of all, that I saw what is on your phone and I'm deucing?
Obviously, it wasn't immediate, I'm saying in my own head, that was, for me, a lot of things have happened before that, but for me, that was the day I just knew this is the end. But of course, there were a lot of things, parents were involved, and all that, but I was too far gone at that point. I knew, okay. Because for starters, I almost called it off the night of the introduction, the night before the introduction.
Why is that?
We had this funny incident, and honestly, thinking about it, I'm thinking about it now, it wasn't easy for her as well. And maybe I didn't protect her enough, because I'm putting myself in her shoes. This guy has told everyone about a girl he likes. I'm coming from nowhere, I'm pregnant, he says he wants to marry me. I tried my own best to, in a way I felt, okay, I'm protecting you by, I'm going to marry or nothing, but I didn't really put myself in her shoes. I'm not really trying to, how does she really feel? She must have felt really insecure as well, I've done a lot of soul searching and thinking, and she must have felt very insecure. And if she does hear this one day, I will say, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I am very sorry if I didn't protect her enough. I thought I was, but maybe I wasn't.
Thank you for that self-reflection, because I feel like it makes me emotional, because I feel like sometimes people are in a situation and they just look at it from their perspective, but you have to be able to say, okay, what did I do to contribute to making that person feel the way that they felt?
Yeah,
you know?
true.
Now, when you were going through, before, I want to just kind of go back a little bit. When you were going through the challenges with your marriage, did either one of you or did both of you go to counseling? And was the counseling religious or professional?
We tried both. We tried the religious aspect. Let me tell you about the religious one first. It's another thing I feel the church gets wrong. When you go for religious counseling, they tell you, don't ever discuss your marriage with anyone. I feel that's very wrong. You should have someone you respect and trust that you can discuss your marriage with, because I was quiet for a very, very long time and it didn't do anybody good. There were times I would just be so down, but then you really can't talk to anyone because there were so many things happening, you can't talk to anyone. I was very alone. And you know, one thing about it, yeah, you'll get married. You'll see. When you get married...
Sorry, to Chris Evans, obviously. Continue.
When you get married, you don't really have many friends anymore. Everybody kind of like just gives you that space. I'm being honest with you. I mean, you have friends, but you will realize for some reason everybody just sort of like, which is normal, they have to respect your marriage. And you're sort of alone, you and your spouse, you're trying to figure it out. So if it's not going well, it's a very tough position to be in. And if I made one mistake, I would have spoken more. I would have, said a lot of things instead of just bottling so many things in. So that's that about the religious aspect. As for professional, we did. And she said some things. Immediately she spoke, I kind of knew, okay, we are not, it really helped. The professional one helped. I won't even deny it. And I kind of knew, okay, we are not on the same planet. We are not, these are my problems. These are the things you're saying, these are the things you're saying. I don't even know what you're talking about. So I kind of knew, okay, we were not even in the same mind space. Again, I can't really go into too many details, but it kind of just helped me understand that, what, we are in different places. And that was 6 months before everything ended. It helped me understand that this is not going to work. And it's not because anybody's bad. We just want different things. And it's okay. It happens. You just want different things. It's not going to work. Yeah.
That's insightful. When you said you're going to file for divorce, how did you respond to that?
Okay, I didn't tell her I was going to file for a divorce. What I said when I was leaving was, this is the last time you and I are going to talk, except through lawyers. Okay, well, it helped because I was going offshore in about a week. I was going to be gone for a month and everything, so it kind of helped. But I told her, like, it wasn't easy. Like I said before, obviously my mom called, her parents, we spoke, what happened. Again, I didn't go into details of what really transpired. Again, because I always felt, even till now, I always just protect. There's no one wins when you keep making everything dead. Like, it doesn't really help anyone. So that was it. So I went offshore. We spoke a bit, but in all honesty, that was the last time. I was just done at that point.
Do you feel like she was done as well? Did she say, let's try and make it work, or I'm going to change? Because there are things that you do when you want your spouse.
That's the thing. I didn't want her to change.
But did she say that she was going to, or she's going to do things differently?
She didn't understand why I had a problem with so many things. And I can sit here now and tell you I can understand where she's coming from. That's why I said, when we went for the therapy...
The counseling?
The counseling, sorry. And, it really is Venus and Mars. It was like communication was tough because she just didn't understand what I was trying to say. And she didn't understand why I had problems with certain things I knew she was doing before we got married. And like, why are you complaining? Why are you not? Why everything I do, you're not? So it wasn't the first time I had said I wasn't interested anymore. Probably like the fifth time. But again, I didn't want to be divorced. It's funny, mutual friend of ours is always, it still makes comments like that. So you're finally divorced, mister. I'm never going to be, because I'm always, you know what, I don't see why people get divorced. If you have a problem, you work it out. That was my mentality. No matter how bad it is, you make a commitment. Everyone should learn to stick to commitment. But, sometimes there are just some things that can be fixed. And remaining in that situation is just not healthy for anyone. So, yeah, that was just it.
Okay. First of all, when you're speaking to your therapist, what did your therapist... you see all these movies. Therapist is looking at man and woman like, oh my God, these people don't get, what did the religious one do?
Please. This is my advice to anyone getting married. I don't think you should go for a religious therapist. Okay, on the stress note, you can go, but you get professional opinions as well, because most times the old man is giving you this session is so out of touch with everything going on in the world today. So it's really difficult. You can get one of those professional. I think there's one somewhere, like I've forgotten the name, the one we went to. They are more understanding. They are more into the way the world works.
Open-minded.
Yeah, they're more open-minded and things like that. So
yeah. Now, you say you're going to get a divorce.
Yeah.
And you go through the process. My question is, what do you think is the biggest misconception about divorce? Because it's one thing for you to say, I want a divorce. And then now being in that situation or that process, two different. Because I was speaking to my mother about this. I called her and I'm like, as someone who went through a divorce, what was that process like for you? And so I want to hear your, I don't want to color your thoughts, but go ahead.
Going through a divorce is not, it took me a long time to actually accept the fact that, okay, I'm actually going to get divorced. It took me a long time. I'm sure where I was always dodging. I didn't really want to talk to anybody, because the worst part is, well, I don't know if it's like that for other guys. For me, I felt I had failed. I think that's like the first thing, like, oh wow. So I actually felt like my father, okay. There was that. And again, it helped me understand as well, because I always had that thing for my dad, like, why did he just... I had those challenges, like, why didn't he want me? Why did he, My dad, you never really, you wear someone's shoes, then you might actually, I'm not saying it's right, but you kind of have an understanding, why you kind of understand how bad things can get to make people want to just, separate themselves from certain things. And I have to be honest, it wasn't a nice experience. It took me a long time. There's a lot of people think it's just, it's not working. That's the way it is now. It's not working. You just get a divorce, it's not working. But there's so many things involved there. You've sort of mentally arranged your life in a certain way. And then the scary part is you have to, am I really going to meet someone else and then go through this process over again? My wedding was really loud. I don't know if you remember. Am I going to do all that?
No, I can't say I remember, because I was not invited, and then I saw it on Instagram too, so please continue.
But the wedding was a bit shotgun, so a lot of people went invited.
Sure.
But it's like, am I really going to do all this again? You're just emotionally drained.
Did you have any thoughts of, maybe I'm making a mistake, maybe I should call it off and go back to my wife? Did that cross your mind?
No. Honestly, no. I was jaded for a long time. I was carrying so much, which is why I was saying it's nice to have someone to talk to. The church should stop telling people don't talk about your marriage. Keep everything in you. It doesn't really work. You need help. No one knows it all. You need help. So I was drained for a long time. So the time I decided I was done, I was just done, because I had spoken to a few people, I had spoken to a few mentors, and everything I felt was, okay, you're doing this. I felt, okay, you're actually doing the best you can at this point. It might not be, again, my best. Imagine you and I are married. If I'm doing my best, it might not be good enough for you, which is fine. But in my case, I've given all I can for where I am at this point. I agree it might not be good enough for you, but there really is nothing I can do, We can decide to be patient and wait till I meet your expectation. But at the same time, it gets hard when you are nowhere near my expectations as well. So, At that point, I knew, at that moment when I decided, okay, I am going to get a divorce, I knew there was no going back because there was really nothing to go back to.
No, thank you for sharing that. Because I was just speaking to my mom. I think as a child of divorce, you ask your parents, what was divorce? What was the process of divorce like? She's had so many stories going to court. My dad being there, and it's just like, feeling sad that this is the end of the marriage, and so it's like, I thank you for. I guess my point of rambling is that just thank you for sharing that insight. Now, we're gonna begin to wrap up this conversation, but I want to know, how are things with your ex-wife now? Because you said that you told her that you're not going to see her again. This is the last time that we speak, right? But obviously you had time to grow and reflect and do all these different things that, help you be in a better mental space.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I kind of meant it when I said we'll never speak again. We haven't really spoken since then. But, if I see her now, I would have like a decent conversation and everything. But the thing is, in as much as I believe she's moved on, I've moved on, I'm at peace. The level of peace I'm at right now, I'm very selfish about it. If I meet her today and we have like a decent conversation, that's fine. But I flee from any form of negativity or toxic energy. And I don't feel it's fair to me. I don't feel it's fair to her. So I don't know if we meet now, I don't know what the conversation will be like. I'm open to it, but I don't know what it's going to be like. But in all honesty, this is the best version of me right now. Everything is, I'm not where I'm going, but this is the best I've ever been. I guard my peace really jealously, and I don't joke with it.
Okay, no, that's fair. Now, you had mentioned something about one of the reasons why you went ahead to get married to your ex-wife at the time, your wife at the time, is that you're a child of a single parent.
Yes.
Have you had time to reflect on that and process that? I keep on saying that one of the challenges I see, and I say that because my background is in psychology and I'm constantly psychoanalyzing myself, is that we see the mistakes our parents make or made, and we say, oh, I'm never going to make that same mistake. But exactly, a lot of us have not really processed that, whether that's with the professional or just sitting down with ourselves to really understand where our parents went wrong and ensure that we're taking a look at our own lives to see, okay, where are my loopholes, where are my shortcomings to ensure that I don't end up. Have you had time to do that?
For me, it was, my own instance, it was easy because, like I said earlier, I went into it with the wrong motive, so it wasn't really a case of, oh, you're making the same. It was like, I sort of went into it with a 50-50 thing, this can work out, this might not, because, again, there are so many other things I've come to understand involved in decision making. When you decide you want to marry someone, it really shouldn't be because, oh, she's pregnant and I don't want a child out of wedlock and I want to have a family because I'm 31. Oh, what the hell, she's pregnant for me? I might as well. It's not a good enough reason. There are so many people out there, and that's another thing I've learned, which I forgot to mention. Everyone is different. There are so many people out there you can date, but you can't marry. It's both ways, women, men. It's not every girl you can date that you can end up marrying. And it's okay. It doesn't mean the person is bad. Marriage, fling, affair, everything, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month. Marriage is forever. So there are so many things involved in that decision making where I decide, okay, I can be with this person for the rest of my life. It shouldn't all be based on there's a child coming, So for me, it didn't really, I think my own instance, it didn't really have anything to do with, oh, child of divorce, blah, blah, blah. It was just more of that,
Okay. And do you still go to therapy?
I did up until June last year.
Wow.
I was in therapy up until June last year. At that point, I'm not someone who lets his guard down. I don't trust people easily. And I felt, okay, I made myself vulnerable. And everything has just gone bad. I needed like to talk to someone, and it really helped. I felt better towards middle of last year. Everything became better.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. This is, because I've been your friend for quite a while, and you are an asshole.
But you have to admit, this is not Dapo Maryland.
Sorry?
This is mature Dapo.
No, but can I finish? Can I finish? You are an asshole, but you're a good person. And
I try.
No, you're a good person as well. But I'm glad that you are able to reflect and know that that asshole aspect of your life is not going to help you get anywhere.
No, it won't. It really won't.
But I feel like a lot of guys, they feel like they ride on that. Even women, we ride on being like, whatever it is, we feel like it's, put up these defenses. And defenses are important. Walls are important because you can't allow every single person into your life. But I love the level of reflection. Like, this is amazing for me, just as your friend, to see you come this far and grow,
Yeah, I mean, when life hits you right, you kind of have to sit down and go, I'm not going to lie, I was an ass. No, that's why I was laughing when you said, oh, so Sade knew. Oh, okay. But, I was humbled by everything I went through, and it helped me, like, reflect, because the asshole thing is not deliberate. It's the guy default. Well, most guys, it's the guy default. Most times it's what
emotionally challenged guys.
Yeah, it's what you know, it's what you're used to. But it really doesn't help you. It doesn't help anyone. In the long run, it really doesn't help anyone, So at some point in life, you have to actually sit down and reflect. Very important. You have to, okay, what kind of man am I? What kind of man was I? And what kind of man do I want to be? And if the three of them don't align, good. At least you have an idea of where you want to go. You can make a decision to start working towards that. And that's what I've tried to do ever since.
I'm proud of you, Dapo. Like, this is as your friend, it's just like, wow, I'm really proud of you. Now, you had mentioned about the fact that, you're in a better space, even just moving forward with your life.
Yeah.
How do you intend, because again, sometimes in life, as human beings, we are complex creatures.
Yeah, true.
We can go back to our old habits. How do you, or what are you doing to ensure that you not only don't make the same mistakes again?
I'm a lot more serious these days. I take life very seriously these days. And again, the Dapo of 2017 is not this Dapo right now. So the things I actually want in a woman now are not the things I was looking for back then. For instance, I remember I was talking to someone the other day, talking to this girl the other day, and it was funny. It was like an interview because, I remember when we spoke, we got to know each other and everything, and I was like, okay, from everything you've said, this was funny. I was like, for everything you've said and everything, I didn't even mean it that way, but it was just like, okay, I don't think there is any chance for us to move forward with whatever. And she's like, is this an interview? What are you talking about? I was like, I'm just trying to be honest. I don't want to deceive you and, do that whole, okay, yeah, then well, then maybe we'll sleep together, then we're always thinking. Besides, when you're even sleeping with too many people, you're just leaving a part of your soul left and right. So I think, for starters, I want someone I can have a decent conversation with. I think communication is very key. After a long day, you sit down, you discuss life. It doesn't even matter. Just, how crappy Nigeria is, who's going to win the election. Just sit down, have a decent conversation. Someone who's intelligent, who you might not even be where you want to go. You might think, but you actually have an idea, So things like that, those are the things I want. Those were not the things I was looking for back then. So I think growth is part of it as well. It helps.
I think that it's amazing that what you went through, because some people, they go through a really traumatic marriage or difficult marriage and they say they're not going to get married again. But it's not, that's not been the same for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would definitely get married, but definitely I'm going to wait till I meet the right person, obviously.
I'm really happy for you, Dapo. This is progress, I'm just so proud of you despite going through this challenging experience, and I wish the best for you and your ex-wife. God bless both of you. Now, any parting words that you would like to share?
The one thing I'm very sure of about life right now is, at the end of the day, if you trust in God, everything is going to be fine. you might not really be able to see the big picture. Hey, all you can see is your race. But he's the author and finisher of our faith. He's seen the whole journey. He's seen the destination. So all you have to do is enjoy the ride, because you know what? Even when things don't go well, things don't go your way, you just have to trust in God. It's all part of a greater plan you can't see. And all you have to do is accept it and move on. Again, I'm speaking to those who believe in God. We all have what we believe in, But you just have to have faith and believe that everything will be fine. And it will be.
I want to just end by saying thank you so much for choosing to share your story with me.
You are most welcome.
I don't take it for granted.
It's been 2 years coming.
Seriously. A big thank you to Dapo Daniels for sharing his story with me. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave us a rating wherever you listen to your podcast. The show is powered by Nonconform Productions. This episode is edited and produced by Folashade Anozie. Our theme song is by John Akinola. Finally, you can check us out on social media. We are live at Dotted Bridges. Thank you so much for listening.